Nier Automata has definitely been one of the better roller coasters for this season. I mean, there's been a ton of roller coasters, but being able to relive through the entire video game through the anime again has been very nice. And so I can confidently say that we are nearing the big end for this show. And I am very interested in the direction they're going, but for now, let's talk about episode 23. Nier Automata version 1.1a episode 23 actually starts off a bit differently than where the game would have this portion, where in the last part we see Devola holding Popola, which is slightly different than it was in the video game. I'm pretty sure in the video game they both were leading on the hallway towards the tower, and then A2 runs by them, noticing that they're dead, and then runs past. But in this one, A2 actually sits there and converses with Devola. Not a big conversation, mind you, but Devola does look up to A2, asking her if they were finally useful and if they atoned for the sin that they caused, noticing that Devola has also succumbed to the virus, unfortunately, as she's constantly repeating if they were useful, we were finally useful, if they were useful, before A2 finally puts her out of her misery and takes her offline. From here, A2 finally enters the castle, and we get the part of the video game where we get the journey of 9S through the tower and A through to the tower, kind of in a back and forth sense, but for the sake of not being super confused for where I am, I'm going to be talking about 9S's journey through the tower and then A through story through the tower all at the same time. So first, starting off with 9S. 9S finally gets to the tower, and as usual, his pod's telling him that you should probably turn back, take care of the chassis, which I not 100% remember what that was, but 9S is so far gone that he's just completely ignoring and even just berating the pod to just shut up. And the tower constantly telling him to come inside, we're here to have some fun, we're here to do all this stuff. And eventually he gets into a room where the door closed and he sees 2B. Walking into it, he sees more 2B models pop up, and this is kind of where I feel like the breaking point is for 9S, where he sits there and now he just has no remorse or no regrets when killing 2B. I mean, obviously, he acknowledges that this is a machine life form controlling 2B. This is not actually the real 2B. But before, when this happened, he had a bit more of a hesitancy. He had a bit more of his emotion into it. But now he's not even caring. All he's thinking about is wanting to kill any machine life form that affects him, his loved ones, or in just any way, shape, or form. He eventually does get all of them getting to the last one as he's choking them out. Very symbolic, as it's very similar to the way 2B did it to him, but obviously with very heavier and different emotions in mind. However, this was all a ploy, as that specific 2B model actually explodes, causing 9S's arm to completely rip off. 9S for the moment is completely knocked out by the blow, and he finally wakes up revealing that his arm is gone. And he's just completely distraught at this point. He's crying, he's wailing, he's in pain. He turns to one of the 2B models, holding it in his face, grabbing its arm and then putting it on his face. Like I said, 9S is completely gone by this point, and he's lost himself in his own rage and revenge and emotions, to the point where he's willing to continue so far that he commands the pod to take the arm of the 2B model and attach it to 9S. Now, you can look at this scene at a couple different ways, and I know when I played the video game, I looked at this as 9S trying to have something of 2B's in order to, you know, have a sense of being with 2B forever, in a sense. But with the anime and watching it and how they contextualized it, I actually think this is just more of 9S is so far gone that even any rendition of 2B, he's not affected by it anymore. All he has in his mind now is just revenge on everything in the world, and now he's just not just set to destroy machine life forms, but now set to destroy anything and everything that affected him and put him on this path. And so, with perfect timing, the cognitive machine life form thing that takes the form of the two girls finally confronts 9S directly and shows him the truth of what he's been hidden from, showing that Yorha has always been an experiment that meant to be thrown away, humanity's already extinct, the bunker in the moon is not real at all and it's just a decoy. Basically, everything that 9S has ever been told and taught and learned was a complete lie. We already know this as the audience, and various other characters know, but this is the first time I think 9S fully really grasp what is going on. This only pushes 9S darker into his own just collapsing mind, and obviously a big machine life form comes and they start fighting. We now cut to A2, who's just kind of regularly strolling through the tower and ends up going into the stimulated library. Not able to normally get the information that she needs, she used the hacking ability to actually look at all the information that is in the library and finds out the same information. Now, A2 already had somewhat of like a general idea because her squad was supposed to be the experimental squad that was supposed to be disposed of and were never meant to return, but through the learning of the library, she actually finally realizes that there's more than just her squad being the supplemental squad, or her squad being the one that was supposed to be disposed. All of Yahar was supposed to be disposed. Like, everything that she thought was bigger than it thought it was going to be. And obviously, the Machine Life Form Collective comes, finds her, and even confronts her, being like, oh, it's so nice to see you again, A2. I see that nothing has really changed, yada, yada, yada. And fights a machine life form. From there, a simultaneous battle between 9S fighting the robot and A2 fighting the robot kind of happens. While all of this is happening, one of the pods from A2 is told that just keep fighting the robot. Eventually, it'll get affected by the virus itself, and so it'll end up fighting itself and end up dying. Now, I feel like that is a tad bit different than it was in the actual video game. In the video game, you actually go into like the hacking world, and so you're constantly fighting this never-ending fight, only to end up not having to fight, and with you not actually fighting back, the mind collective of the machine life forms actually starts fighting each other, and I never really grasped exactly what's happening, but my two takeaways or two possibilities here is that A, the machine collective are at a standstill with each other, where one wants to shoot the moon base down to completely rid of humanity of any trace of it, but another part of the machine life form actually wants to go up and actually start a whole new life and conquer a whole new world. At least in the anime, that's how they depict it, and I'm pretty sure they also do this in the video game. So that mind collective actually starts fighting each other to death. I think the problem that I have and why I think it's so weird is because I think in the video game, they don't ever explain it as the cognitive mind of the machine life form is actually affected by the virus. I think they explain it more in the sense of the mind is just fighting over itself, and so it just kind of self-destructs over its needs and wants. Very funny enough, it's the same way humanity would be. So that's why I took it from the... Wow, oh fucking care. It being explained as a virus was a bit confusing to me, but I think it's just a small little thing, honestly. Regardless or not, the machine life form, the cognitive mindset of it, ends up destroying each other, and because of it, I think the one that wants to shoot the moon is the one that is, alive. And so, we finally get what I've been waiting for, the standoff between 9S and A2. And here we kind of get what is the ideology of them after their journey and finally seeing each other again after going through the tumultuous time both of them have had, where A2 is sitting there being like, we have to stop whatever this cannon is from shooting up into the moon and destroying the base. Regardless or not, we both know the secrets, but we need to at least keep whatever remnant of humanity exists still alive. Where 9S is going off being like, everything is a lie, why does it matter? Just let the cannon destroy it. And if you're going to stop the cannon, well then you're my enemy and I'm going to destroy you. And there, right there, is where we have the final part of the episode happen. I worded that very, very weirdly, but basically that is where the episode does end. Now, not giving much away, obviously, but I am very, very interested in what they're going to do for this last episode. Because, not giving too much away, of course, but 9S and A2 do their fight, but it's also one of those fights in the video game where there are two separate endings. So I wonder, what's the ending they're gonna go for here? I mean, for me, I already have a pretty decent idea of what exactly is going to happen, but obviously, things can be changed, things could be different. Yoko Taro might have a completely different outcome. This might be a whole different take from what we originally saw in the video game, and whatever happens here, none of us have seen. But that is a genuine possibility because Yoko Taro is just that kind of guy. But I am actually very excited to see how he handles that last episode. But yeah, while it wasn't an over-the-top episode like some of the other episodes have this previous season, this still was really good and doing what it was to do and executing a lot of similar things within the video game. I actually think the Popola and Devola change in the beginning and how that happens was a pretty nice touch because, again, there are just some things that probably don't translate very well from video game to anime, so having that bit of a change and seeing their final words and kind of how their mindset is in that moment was very nice to see. But obviously, I don't think this was like the most intense, impressive episode, but it was still a good episode nonetheless, which is why I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10.